to use the Internet to retain, expand, and grow local businesses. Today's webinar will focus on web-based strategies economic developers successfully use to retain and expand existing businesses and foster entrepreneurship. We are fortunate to have three experts in economic development join us today to share how they are using the Internet to grow businesses locally. Chris Finn, Research Manager, Buffalo Niagara Enterprise. Chris holds a master's degree in urban planning from the University at Buffalo, and as research manager works on various projects including economic impact modeling, in-plan software, geographic information systems mapping, and regional comparative analysis. He recently helped develop BNE's site selection database through a partnership with the local Association of Commercial Realtors and GIS Planning. Chris helps to maintain BNE's toolkit of data, which is used to quickly and accurately respond to a company's data needs for local knowledge on the region. His other tasks include responding to companies' requests for information, lead generation, and target industry analysis. Chris also manages BNE's social media presence. Danielle Casey joined the City of Maricopa in June 2005. Her responsibilities include the management of general operations for the city's economic development efforts, as well as overseeing all city marketing and communications activities. Danielle has managed the creation and implementation of the city's business retention and expansion program, a citywide branding initiative, and economic development strategic plan. The creation of the city's redevelopment district area plan was also developed under her purview and received 2 grant awards. Danielle received her bachelor's degree from Arizona State University and Master's of Administration from Northern Arizona University, and is a certified economic developer, as well as a certified economic development finance professional. Untitled Chapter is CEO of GIS Planning, Inc., an economic development internet service company, and ZoomProspector.com, an online site selection service. His company's strategies are currently implemented in 43 states and serve the majority of the 100 largest cities in the USA. GIS Planning Zoom Prospector web-based GIS product is the industry standard for site selection websites in economic development. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Business Week, Fortune, and the New York Times. Anatolio is co-author of the new book, Economic Development Online. Before GIS Planning, he worked in local economic development with a focus on downtown revitalization, business attraction, and site selection assistance. Our first speaker is Chris Finn.
I'm Chris Finn. I'm with Buffalo Niagara Enterprise. My agency represents the 8 counties of western New York. Our principal cities are Niagara Falls and the city of Buffalo. BNE's mission is to attract business investment to the Buffalo-Niagara region. This is done through our 3 departments, Business Attraction Department, Business Development, Research Department, and also our Marketing Public Relations. And the reason why I wanted to kind of point out, our mission and what we do is because, as you can see here, no part of our mission is to retain or grow local businesses. About 5 years ago, it was a part of our mission, but then we had kind of pushed that to our local partners in order to focus on the business attraction aspects of our business. So that kind of leads the question to, well, then how does this presentation then relate to growing or expanding businesses locally? And then it also asks the question, if we're not managing these efforts, who are? We've pushed these roles to our county, municipal, industrial development agencies, local development corporations, and the municipal governments. But in some cases, if the project deems merit or our needs, we will also facilitate project management. But time and again, we hear from startups. We heard from companies that are working on business plans. We act as the local research department for the Regional Chamber of Commerce, so we would get calls from people working on business plans, people that are looking to start up their business. And time and again, we hear that they're looking for access to data. They want to know market analysis. They want to know business lists. And the 2 biggest needs that we heard from them were the first one being demographics. It's very difficult for the public to access current data that is up-to-date, relevant, but also customizable. I mean, you might be able to find some county data, but you need to know how many people are in your neighborhood if you're planning on selling a certain product or service. Just to get an idea about the audience, if you do gather demographic data, what are your data sources? So I'm just going to give everybody a couple seconds. So as you can see here, it looks like 79%. 74 voted, 79% say they're getting their census data from the census website. So as the 79% are familiar with, the census website can be somewhat difficult. You can get data down at the block level. Aggregating data can be very difficult. 40% are using paid databases, so you know how expensive that can be. which makes it even more difficult for the public at large. Somebody working on the business plan has to first find this database and then pay for a subscription to the data. Both of those can be a little overwhelming to an entrepreneur, to a startup. So then jumping back to the presentation, the second thing that we often heard there was a need for were business lists. People need a business list either for market access. They need to know, where is their competition, or where is their supply chain, or maybe they have a sales department and they're just looking to increase their sales by reaching out to local companies that they know would be a key customer of theirs. So at the same time, we realize that we have this need. People are calling us on a regular basis for this data. My organization, since we're focusing on attraction, our target audience are national site selectors, and we knew what they were looking for when they were coming to our website, what type of data they were looking for. It was at this time that we partnered with GIS Planning to bring a new platform to our website, and it just kind of segued that the data that we're going to be offering these national site selectors is also the same exact data that these local companies or these entrepreneurs are going to be requiring as well. So even though it doesn't fall within our mission, it became my role to push this platform out to the local community in order to get them access to this data that would be available for free in one location with a few clicks of the mouse. And there's really two groups that we decided to pursue as far as distributing the message to. The first one being just individuals. Those could be entrepreneurs, grant writers, students, people that constantly have a need for data. But then there's also the groups. There's the Chamber of Commerce's, the small business development groups, the industrial development agencies, or commercial real estate. So currently what one of my duties is to go out to these groups, and we figure that we can train them to then train their clients, or then to pass the data to their clients. So we're using the internet to reach out to these groups and to say, there's this platform that's available for free. Please make your clients aware of it so that they can have access to this data. What I wanted to do was just I actually had a call 2 weeks ago from a woman who was working on her business plan. And what I'd like to do is just briefly walk you through the steps that I took her through in order for her to be able to access the data. And what she was looking to do was she wanted to start a cafe restaurant. But I mean, the same steps I use here could be used for industrial processes or service industries as well. Obviously, one of the first steps that people are going to take is they have a need for commercial real estate. There is an option to do a search on our platform, but she already knew where she wanted to be. So what you have here is the option, if you use the tools feature, you can actually put a pin in the map, and then based on that pin, you say, this is where I want to run my analysis from. So when you put the pin in the map, you see that there's those 4 different reports. And you now have access to the data based on custom geography for those 4 reports. So what we did for her was the first one we ran was her demographic reports. She knew what her ideal demographic was. So as you see here, we have 2010 data, which again, the census was just coming out with, whereas we had this data before the census came out with it. It should also be noted that when the census did release their figures, we were pretty pleased to see how accurate the estimates were for 2010 from our platform to what was actually current through the census. But what she saw here was that she wanted a heavier percentage of the female population, and then she wanted to see certain percentages within the age cohorts. So with one click of the mouse, she was able to quickly see that her market was available in the immediate area. What's great about this too, what a lot of people like to see, is that not only does it default to a 1-mile radius, but you can do drive time analysis as well. So instead of doing a 1-mile radius, she could do a 1-minute drive time and really see the walkable community. Since she was a cafe, she wanted people that are going to be walking by. She was able to really drill down to a 1-minute drive. But for somebody that might be looking at supply chain, if they're an industrial user, they could expand that out to a half-an-hour drive and really see, where the market is or where the businesses fall, which I'll touch on in a second. Again, back to the cafe example, the next one we showed was household spending. This is very powerful information that is extremely difficult to get if you're not using paid databases. So again, what she was able to do was actually see how much people are spending on food away from home. This is an annual average household figure. And what you're able to do then is take the pinpoint tool, and then put the pin in the map in a few different places so you can get a relative idea. This almost $2,900 a year, how does that compare to other areas around the city or around the county? Is this location the best possible location for my product? We next moved on to business lists. What our platform allows the user to do is to you get a 1-mile radius by default, and you get every business that's located within that geography, which you can change as well. But what's great is that you can then drill down to set target sectors, and then you can drill down to actual company names. So you can see, your potential competition. Is this market, already serviced by, enough cafes? Is it oversaturated? Is it underserved? Or just give you an idea about how much, your competition is bringing in. Again, for your business plan, again, for projections. You can see how many people they're employing. You can see what their estimated annual revenue is. Just giving you the most complete understanding about the local market as it relates to your industry specifically. And then lastly, we now have the ability to give some geographic information as well. So here's a couple maps that they're able to take advantage of. Now they can see, does their property fall within a 100-year floodplain for insurance reasons or for just environmental concerns. Distance to infrastructure, so people can see we have GIS capabilities in our office, so we're able to upload them to our platform. So there's a few that we had created, so distance to interstates, which is critical for industrial users. Distance to Buffalo sits on the international border with Canada, so how far is it to the ports and to the bridges? We also have a number of other features for public transportation or for incentives. So now a user can see, I'm located on this street. You can click on the incentives layers, and somebody can see what incentives they might be eligible for. Might be available for facade improvements if you're a cafe, or might be available for industrial programs as well. One of the last ones I wanted to touch on for the example I used with the cafe was traffic count data. Again, for your business plan, you can really kind of say, this is the demand for my product. These are the amount of cars, the visibility of our location as compared to other locations around the region. So all those reports that I touched on allows a user to make a very specific location-based decision in the course of minutes, whereas in the past it might have taken them weeks or months or paying consultants in order to gather this data. But how do we use this platform to help our partners, including industrial development agencies? The first one I think might be of the greatest asset is helping with retention efforts. I showed on the previous slides how you can use the pinpoint tool to find businesses. But we can also have a search forum available. So one of our county IDAs could, say, decide one day that they want to focus on agribusiness in our region within their county, and they want to reach out to these companies and they want to say, well, what hurdles are you currently facing? Are taxes an issue? Are you having an issue reaching your customers? Are your suppliers having an issue bringing your supply chain? So what we were able to do, and we found out that we were one of the first users to do this, was we provided GIS planning with custom target industries. And so what we did was we compiled NAICS codes around target industries that B&E focuses on, and we uploaded them to this platform. So a county partner could come to our site, they could go to the search page, and they can click on the agribusiness support services. And so it'll only result in businesses that have that NAICS code. So again, they'll get a company list. They'll be able to use that list, reach out to these companies individually, and address their needs and concerns, forming the basis of a retention campaign. What's also great for our municipal partners or for commercial real estate agents is the ability to kind of share the data, or how you can share the data. So focusing on social media as well, you can use the data. You can export links to your website, take the data and just use it on your website, or share it through LinkedIn or Twitter if you have a Facebook account. Sharing of this data is just as critical to being able to present it to the community. Because if you can present it but you can't share it, then it's not really helpful. So what do we do with this data? We market it. We market this platform heavily. We had put together a one-page marketing brochure, and what I do is I'm on the road going out to all the Chamber of Commerce's, going to the small business development centers, and leave behind 100 of these so that when they have new clients that are coming in the door, they have these brochures, and then they're coming back to the website. It's also good because we act as local technical customer service, so people are reaching out to me as well if they have questions about navigating the website. We do analytic tracking of our platform as well, and we see pretty high volume of people using the data and people using the platform, so we know that the marketing is getting out there as well. What's also a great asset to us in using the internet to kind of grow and expand businesses is after we had launched our platform, our close relationship with the State Economic Development Agency fostered them to relaunch their commercial real estate website, and they had actually also chosen GIS planning for their platform after they saw the success that we were having. So all the data that was available, all the demographic reports, all the labor reports, which I didn't touch on but is also available, the business reports and the consumer spending reports are now available across New York State. So this is even better for people that might be in rural communities or people that have less access to resources. Now, as long as they have an internet connection, they can access this data, and they can access the network of professionals in order to assist them for their company's growth or expansion. that is it for my portion of the presentation. And what I'm going to do now is transfer the call over to Danielle Casey.
Everybody, hope you're doing great, Chris. Thanks so much. I really love doing these things because it's amazing what you learn, so I just got some great tips from you. I'm going to kick off today and just start launching into, I'm going to go in a whole nother direction. What I'm going to be talking about is really more social media, video, and different web tools that are free, and I want you all to look at this from the perspective of probably small local businesses, smaller community, and really something that we've used to even replace our traditional business retention and expansion strategies in a way to outreach and work with our local folks. So with that, we're going to be talking about integrating video, social media, and data sets. So to kind of set the stage, the community of Maricopa, Arizona, not to be confused with the county of Maricopa or another community in California, we were incorporated in 2003. We have a long history as a stage stop rail line down in the Southwest, but really, back until in the year 2000, we were 1,500 residents. In the 2010 census, we just hit about 43,000. So that's 4,000% growth. So you're seeing a huge influx of residents. We've got a large commuter population. It is currently a bedroom community, although we're pulling out all the stops to try to combat that. Folks here really don't know about the local businesses that exist, and what is exciting is we do have a strong number of people that are entrepreneurs. We've got a great workforce because a ton of people that work in the Phoenix area, Intel, semiconductor industries, places like PayPal, all in the Chandler and Gilbert area are living in Maricopa because it's a very safe community, affordable housing, etc. So when we're looking at trying to help these businesses communicate and get out to the local residents their offerings, and these are largely people that are leaving in the morning and coming back at night, not exploring the community as much as they could, we have a minimal advertising budget to do that. We thought about billboards, so to kind of grasp a reference point, if we were to do a billboard on the highway, my ad budget would be gone in 3 months, and that would be everything. So what do? We've actually got a large amount of creative freedom, which has been very beneficial. As a startup community, I haven't had to deal with the we've always done it that way type of issue. I was actually the 12th employee, and right now I'm I think from what we've got left with people moving on and things change over time, I think I've got 4 with more tenure than me. So we've been creative, we've been able to be really responsive and try new things without a lot of restrictions that some municipalities have. And we also have the benefit of departmental structure and media resources. I'm going to launch a poll really quick. I want to kind of find out what kind of freedom you guys have in your communities in terms of social media marketing and doing these types of things, because that's a concern I've gotten from many associates that, well, I'd love to do that, but, you know, our IT department's too restrictive, or, you know, we don't know how, or we don't have the staff, or for a myriad of reasons. What's great about Maricopa's departmental structure, and we've followed the lead of some other Valley communities, is that we've got the Public Information Office and also all of marketing communications in there. So I've got the webmaster and video guy, and I've got the PIO, and again, the full city advertising budgets in the Economic Development Department, which is a big benefit because I can kind of play around and make sure that whatever ads are going out citywide, that they're really targeted and geared towards promoting the economic development message, even if it's a general ad going out to the local population. All right, so it looks like we're doing great. I appreciate you guys' responsiveness, and we're at about 85% or so. So I'll give you 3 more seconds in case anybody's really excited. I'm going to go ahead and close this up and see where we're at. So, you know, I'm actually really encouraged. It looks like we've got a fairly high amount of folks that can do things, although there's a small sector, it looks like, that's dealing with some restrictiveness. As we go through this, I would say some recommendations would be get a partner, start a nonprofit organization, and get really close with your chambers if you're not already there. So the initiative that we did, and this is really a cool video initiative. Last holiday season, we were trying to figure out how to promote local businesses. Our chamber was going through a big transition, and we're trying to figure out how do we raise awareness and promote local businesses that aren't getting the traffic that they'd like. So we launched I challenged the team to figure out a way to do that without any budget and asking them to work extra hours over the holidays. And we launched the 12 Days of Holiday Shopping program. And essentially what we did is we promoted it, we got the information out there, we took applications from local small businesses, And we went out and taped and aired 5-minute promotional spots for each one, a new one every day for the 12 days leading up to essentially Christmas Eve, and then played them all back to back. And what's great about social media and the free internet-based services that you can use is, while we were airing it on our city's television channel, we were also airing it on YouTube, on the website, live streaming, and promoting it through a number of different channels as well. So we did this, and all the slots plus the waiting list for a waiting list for slots with about, I think, 10 businesses deep, filled in 3 days over the weekend. So there was definitely interest. There was a lot of excitement. And what that did was prompted the creation of us doing a permanent program called Business Beat. What I'm going to do really quickly is just show you guys a few seconds of an intro of our video, and then I'll show you the tail end of it and how we're promoting them. And it may be a little choppy, but you should be able to get the audio.
Did you know most of your shopping can be done right here in Maricopa? With over 1,200 local businesses and services available, there is no reason to shop anywhere else. And dollars spent here support our local economy, as well as provide funds for improvement projects, education, and more, all of which helps Maricopa grow into a self-sustaining city. Join us now for Business Beat. As together we discover Maricopa businesses.
So to kind of show you guys, obviously, we go through the interview process, we work with these folks, learn all about what they're doing. I clearly have no shame because I've been put out here to talk to these folks and and for anybody out there, I have absolutely zero experience and no clue what I'm doing.
I have no interest in talking, I just have an interest in eating. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This has been an absolute delight, a complete treat, and I look forward to coming back and get more banana splits, and I hope that this encourages many, many Maricopa residents to enjoy this as well.
If you have a Maricopa business and would like to be featured, visit our website for more information. Join us again next week to discover more local services and businesses right here.
Great. And as you guys saw at the very end there, it kind of featured the business information so that people can follow up with them. One thing that we felt was pretty important and is important overall to our marketing strategy, especially our web-based strategy, is branding the program effectively. So our sub-brand for economic development initiatives is our Maricopa Matters brand, which flows really well and was designed to do so with the city website. And then we've also created, as you saw at the beginning of that program, our kind of Business Beat logo so that we can keep all of our materials consistent. You guys will see a little bit more of that as we go through. Great. So getting the word out on the program, what we started doing with Business Beat after the holiday shopping promos were over is we're doing 2 to 4 tapings and airings per month. So we kind of spend a half a day, go out and visit all these folks. We have an application process online, and then once we get the spots together, we're not only airing them live on our Maricopa television channel in the local community, which is Channel 20, but we also put it live streaming online at maricopa20.tv. We embed it in the city website page, we tweet it, we push it out through all of our social media channels. And then what we do at the end is we take our local businesses and we train them on the use of the videos for marketing and give them a little handy flyer to help them understand how to use it. What's been great about this, and the reason I say that it has largely replaced our BRE strategy, is being able to go and talk to these folks and spend 20 minutes with them doing an airing, and then sit down with them and really pick their brains about what's going on in the community, and obviously getting back to some of the formal business retention questions, and developing that relationship has been great. I think sometimes when my former BRE strategies, when I would sit down and go through an extremely formal checklist of questions, you're getting some information, but you're not really developing a relationship with them, a personal relationship one-on-one, and this has been tremendous. To get the word out, we've also presented to the local chamber, and we'll continue to do that at least annually, if not twice annually, and we put everything in city newsletters and in print. We have a print publication that goes out to every single Maricopa household in the community. Here's some examples. Just wanted to show you a quick splash page. This is the page on our city website where we embedded all the videos from the 12 days of holiday shopping, and saw some nice little Christmas presents there, or holiday gifts. And then we also have a snapshot here, and this is where we really promote our Business Beat program. And there's not only information on the program, and this is something you can all check out later if you're interested, but you can download resources, view all the show archives, and learn how to participate and apply. So just to give you guys a few examples of how we're promoting it, this is our Maricopa Matters Twitter feed. And I just started a few favorites so you could kind of see, but I'm kicking out links to the videos for every single one that we tape, and then anything else really crazy going on. And we try to keep our Twitter feed as active as possible. I try to personally hit it at least a couple times a day. This is our YouTube channel, and you can see over there we've got pretty much every video that we've done through here, and we're trying to encourage folks through promotions to subscribe to the video channel so that when a new video goes up that they're getting a notice on that. And then finally, I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn. It's done a tremendous amount for me in terms of networking, business development, and also promoting local businesses, so we kick it out through there as well. And I'll tell you, the amount of resources I found through LinkedIn have been tremendous as well, just in doing daily business research. And this is an example of the flyer that our media specialist extraordinaire, who produces the videos and also manages all of our web activity, that he put together as an intro flyer to train the local businesses on, okay, now that we've done this for you, what are you going to do with it and how can you utilize it? So measurement's very important in this program. I don't like to do anything in my department that I can't measure, and and if I do measure it and it's not effective, we're going to try something new, totally reevaluate the program, or discontinue it and try something else. So we send a survey to all the participants a month following their airing to find out how they heard about it. Was it effective? How did we perform as staff? Were we friendly? Were we good to work with? Did they generate any business as a result as well? And were they using this effectively? Did we train them right? And was the program even worth it? This is an example of one of the surveys we did. And another internet-based tool, Constant Contact. This is actually one of my favorite. There are many free ones out there that you can utilize. I'm sure many of you are. I like Constant Contact because it has an events module as well as a survey and poll module that you can sign up for, and it's all integrated. Let's see. So in terms of business utilization of the videos, these are some of the results we got from the surveys. What's really interesting is they're pretty good with social media, but they're not that good with their websites. So we're going to be focusing on that in some of our small business training programs in the next year. And here's an example that I wanted to share of a guy who really did it right. He probably had the top amount of hits, YouTube views, from any of the folks that we taped over the holiday programs. He embedded it in his website. He sent a link to every single client he had. He even forwarded links to the video to clients and said that if they forwarded it to non-clients that they'd get a discount if they watched it. And he really pushed himself out there, and I think it definitely generated more business for him. So in addition, some of the other stuff we garnered that was really positive were that everybody that responded said they'd recommend the program. They all received at least some business inquiries, and largely they heard about the program through the chamber and word of mouth, so clearly the chamber channels were very effective. Just to kind of digress just a little bit to bring it back around to Chris's great discussion, the additional tools that we use from an internet-based perspective to communicate with local businesses, especially small businesses, are obviously our website, and we do also have a prospector tool. And some of the various databases that we use, Salesforce, Constant Contact. For data services, Chris mentioned Claritas. We use CoStar for different real estate listings, Esri online, and also economicmodeling.com for location quotient data. The big message that I want to kind of share here with everybody is that there's a lot of data resources. Once you develop the relationship and find a good way to get that connection with your local businesses, however you're doing it, then you can really start to educate them and move them forward in terms of utilizing you for data and being able to grow their business in that manner. And also the branding of all of our materials in a consistent format has been very important to us in letting folks recognize our service menu and as well as where to go. So again, an example, this is our economic development website, obviously different from our main city website because it's a lot easier for people to find. It's maricopamatters.com. It's a simple URL. I don't like to try to navigate people through 3 pages of clicks on the city website. You'll lose them there every time. And then this is also our prospector launch page. One thing I really wanted to point out is how the folks at GIS Planning have been really flexible and how customizable this tool is. When you look at our search here, as I mentioned to you guys, Maricopa grew tremendously. No database, and that's going to happen this year with the 2010 census, but no database had accurate projections for our population. So if you look here, what they've done for us is added some disclaimers and some direction for people to go to our website and maybe look at our active leakage reports and our labor studies and updated population and demographics that just weren't available anywhere. So that helped us out tremendously and got people to the right places, and you can certainly customize it in any way you like. One other thing I wanted to show you is our newsletter. This is another way that we also promote not only the Business Beat program, but also listings on our prospector. You can't see it at the bottom here. But what I do is once a month at least, I'll feature 5 or 6 different locations that are on our prospector site and push that out. And we've got a subscription list of about 4,000 right now. And maintaining momentum in this program, you know, we're going to continue to evaluate some of the things that we do with these videos. This is applicable not only to small local businesses that we want to promote, but it's also fantastic in going to interview your educational institutions and your other major assets in the community and getting those online. And what we've done is we've taken those, for example, at the Bio International Convention recently, we went out and I had a video where we were talking to bio-related assets in the community and had a hard video loaded up into the iPad that I could show anyone that I was meeting with as I walked the trade show floor. So again, lots of applications if you're thinking about video, and then you can put that on a custom launch page on your site. Continuing to promote, and then my message lastly for everyone is that this is easily duplicated. I have a great asset in our media guy, but you don't have to have a media pro on the team. There's pro bono assistants out there. You can use a flip camera, and there's a lot of great tools where you can do editing in a pretty cheap and simple way. These don't have to be massively high quality productions to get the effect. There are some grant opportunities out there for marketing. You got to find somebody willing to look foolish like me, and you know, integrate all of your communications channels and your web-based tools. Measure your impact, and I would encourage anybody to be thinking creatively about business retention initiatives, because some of the traditional models, especially with the way we are in terms of internet and web-based activity, that people are expecting information right away and they don't necessarily have the time or the interest in the interactions in person that they used to. I think that's you've got to always continue to get creative. So I think I'm going to pass this over to Anatolio. Anatolio is the CEO of Zoom Prospector and GIS Planning.
Thanks for your insights, Danielle. That was really great information. For the attendees, let's get your feedback now about the perceptions of doing business in your community. Select the statement that best matches your situation. Our local businesses' perceptions about our community are worse than they really are, the same as they really are, better than they really are. So here you can see the results of the poll, and although about half have a perception that they're about the same as they are, 40% actually see that the community is worse than the reality. Now let's ask another question, which is, local businesses think the grass is greener somewhere else or greener in our community. So the good news is, if you can call it good news, a little bit more than half think that, you know, the community that they're in is good, but when functionally about half think that it's better somewhere else, that's certainly something that's a concern. And this is valuable context for what I'll be talking about.
The information I'll share is a case study of how a city was able to retain and expand an existing business using their internet strategy. As economic developers, we work with people who have to make decisions. And these people often have preconceived notions of what they think reality is. However, what they think isn't always what's true. This hurts economic development organizations because some communities that would be great for a business investment get overlooked because of people's preconceived prejudices against that community. Maybe they think you're too big, too rural, too expensive, without quality labor, without market access, or some other issue. Or some local businesses may think that they can't be successful at growing their business where they are, so they leave your city for somewhere else. Not only does this hurt your community, it also hurts a business if they can be more successful in your community. However, there is a solution to this, which is to overcome preconceived biases with unbiased online information that can be trusted. San Francisco was faced with this problem when one of its local businesses was planning to leave the city. The perception at the California Culinary Academy was that there was no room in an urban city for their business to grow into a large facility. So the San Francisco Center for Economic Development met with the company to explore if it could expand in San Francisco or would have to leave town. The economic development staff sat down and listened to the company's concern. The main perceived problems were that there wasn't any room for them to build a new facility, and uncertainty if they moved to a new neighborhood that the demographics could support the expansion. After hearing the concerns, they went online with the company to see if, on the city's economic development website, they could see if the city had the real estate and market for the business to be successful. Within a few clicks, they identified a list of potential properties that met the requirements of the company, drilled down into additional information, and explored demographic and business data for the possible neighborhoods. By doing this, they were able to overcome the perceptions the company had about their city with the facts of the real opportunities for the company's growth. This is really best said by the economic developer who led the retention and expansion initiative.
There are several examples of success stories of using SF Prospector for attracting and retaining businesses in San Francisco. One in particular stands out was an international culinary academy, which is headquartered here in San Francisco, that was looking to expand. And they felt, because of their great expansion needs, that they would have to move out of the city because their real estate broker was telling them that there was no space to accommodate them within the city. And we actually used SS Prospector in a meeting with the CEO, with the real estate broker, to demonstrate that there were several available spaces throughout San Francisco in which they could be accommodated. It really was a tool that opened up the CEO's thinking about other neighborhoods that he could possibly locate his facility in. And let me just put it in terms of bottom line thinking, what that meant for San Francisco. It meant keeping 400 jobs here that otherwise would have gone out of town. It meant probably about $30 million flowing through the economy in terms of a multiplier and the jobs that would be accounted for that. And probably $600,000 to $700,000 worth of tax revenues for the city itself. So it had huge economic impact and advantages for the city.
Because the city was able to retain and expand this business, there's now a new facility with 400 jobs which produce hundreds of thousands of dollars each year for the city, significant economic impact, new businesses in the building, new services for the neighborhood, new business neighbors, activity, job training for one of the city's most important industries, and new job opportunities for newly trained employees. This is a great business retention and expansion case study, and they were able to be successful because they used their economic development site selection analysis website in real time with the client to convince them the best business decision they could make was to grow at home. Now I'll turn it over for questions and answers to the whole group.
All right, thanks everybody. Our first question is for Chris. For communities with limited staff, how do we provide self-service business retention and small business services?
It's often difficult. That's why there's a lot of communities within Western New York that are in that position, and they're in rural counties. They're far away from the metro area. I don't want to say that they're lucky, but they have the opportunity to use us as their database. Now there are communities across New York State that are able to access this data through New York State. So what I would say would be the best option would be to kind of explore any type of public partnerships that might have access to resources financially and able to secure this data data. There are a number of other data sources out there where you can get this data. There are free websites that we've used in the past as well to capture some of this data, just not as customizable. But again, it's just not going to be as easy, within one platform, within a few clicks, as if you're able to kind of foster that partnership in order to get a platform like this.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We have another question. We would like to have access to as much free data as possible. What are the best sources?
If you're talking about demographics, it's definitely going to be the census websites. It's just the difficulty or the lack of customization are going to be the downfalls. You can't get those 1-minute drive times. As far as access to business databases, we've been successful. Our local colleges and our library system all have access to these databases. We direct a lot of the small business development agencies locally have a close relationship with those departments, so they're able to access those databases on their clients' behalf. They usually have access to these databases as well.
Thanks, Chris. I have a question for Danielle. When selecting your businesses to include in the video, how did you decide which businesses to select? And did you try to make sure there was a diversity in terms of various industries? And then to follow on that, did you charge these businesses to become part of the video?
All great questions. Thanks, everybody, for answering. Well, I think you all know, and if there's anybody that's working, especially in a small community, but I think any place would apply, you have to be careful, right, about including or excluding anyone. We were very careful to promote this community-wide, not just through the chamber, because we've had complaints in the past about, well, I don't choose to be a chamber member, but I'm certainly a local business. So very cognizant of that. We pushed it out everywhere, and it was essentially first come, first serve. The only caveat that we included in there was that, if we got 5 real estate agents, we're not going to air 5 real estate agents in a row. It's not good for them from a marketing perspective, and it's not good for us in terms of interesting content. So we reserve the right to modify the schedules and the air times and all those types of things. But we did leave it open to any business. Now, one of the things that we did do was require that they have to have their business license in the local community. Seems like a no-brainer. But I will say for the folks on the call, as professionals, I had someone who actually served at a high level with my local chamber that applied, participated in analyzing looking at all their stuff and checking the program. They didn't have a business license. Not good for somebody who's fairly prominent in the chamber. And what's really great is our program helped to rectify that, because we required that they get that taken care of before they participate. There is no charge for applying or being part of the program. We feel that because these are city resources, that we're utilizing city resources to support the local business community.
Next question, and it's actually for Danielle and Chris. What percentage of your budget / resources do you spend on marketing locally versus nationally?
Speaking on behalf of our marketing department, I'm not 100% familiar with their budget, but I do know that as I mentioned during my presentation, we got away from our retention and expansion efforts. So all of our budget is technically for outside the region. So all of our brochures we do is meant for trade shows or for familiarization tours. But on the other hand, social media, which is just an allocation of time and resources, not finances for the most part, most of that is focused on the local community. So that gave us, the social media gave us an opportunity to be transparent and accessible to the people of Western New York while not taking money away from the budget for our mission, which is to attract investment from outside the region. But I'd probably say I'm pretty sure the number that I saw in the past, just as part of our, our overall marketing budget for operations, I think it's about 15% of our budget. So technically 15% of our budget, our operating budget, goes towards marketing the region outside of Western New York.
This is Danielle. As I mentioned before, we have citywide marketing funds out of the Economic Development Department. So our marketing communications is a division of Economic Development. And I'd say we're probably close to 50-50. If you want to take in, our funds just reserved for advertising is about $75,000, but then we've got about another $20,000 or $30,000 that we utilize for trade shows and events like that and associated expenses. And then we also have a big chunk in our printing budget of another. It can vary from $10,000 to $20,000 that we use to print city newsletters that go around to the community-wide, print all of our brochures and different materials. But I'm definitely going to agree with Chris in that the social media that we do, that is really covering a lot of our local residents, and we do a weekly newsletter every Friday that goes out to our entire subscription list. And so we're seeing a lot more people get their information that way. And what we even have is some of our local, inside the community, media platforms are really largely web-based. So our most frequently read media source in Maricopa, what we do with them is we place online ads. So instead of doing print ads with them, I've got stuff on the website. So, I'll have rotating banners that are kicking them back to either our business retention programs or training programs, or maybe it's to come to the city festival in the fall. It's really whatever message is most important at that time.
Thanks. And Danielle, this is a follow-up question. What tool did you use to create your business databases? Business license?
I'm going to go on a limb and assume they're guessing, how are we, the database that we're using to connect with folks in the community. Yes, we'll use our business license database, but I also go out and I'll pull down a list annually from Info USA, or you can go to Resource USA is available through all our, or Reference USA, sorry. Through all of our library systems, and you can go down there and you can pull lists and intelligence on companies for free using that. I would say obviously our business license database, case in point, having a chamber member apply that's not in the business license database is not always your best source of information and the most accurate. So we combine different information like that. But I have found good stuff from Info USA, and that's a couple $100 at least for our size of community, and I pull that down annually.
This question is for Anatalio. Where do you think there are more negative preconceived notions, rural areas or big cities?
I think it's a mix, and really there are just so many businesses, whether especially if they've never heard of a community, which is going to be a challenge for small or rural communities, or for big cities where they think they already know what that city is like. Their preconceived notions can really negatively impact the economic development efforts of organizations that are trying to foster economic growth. The best way to combat that, or certainly one of the best ways, is to combat opinions with fact. Data tends to be very convincing, especially when it's third-party data. If it's data that your organization can source and say this data came from the city or the county, or it came from third-party data such as a national data system, that's going to be a great way to overcome these prejudices that these businesses have. From an internet-based perspective, it's the small, medium, and rural communities that have a clear advantage by doing it correctly on the internet, by providing the information the businesses need, because that's a place where you can have as much access to your local businesses and to business prospects who are considering an investment in your community as the big communities. And it's a place where people are more likely to stop by and visit you than perhaps in real life. So big cities or small cities, they all suffer from misconceptions, and those are things that we can combat through data.
I think we have time for one more question, and this one just came through. You mentioned you have gone away from traditional business retention and expansion. Do you mean the standard answer, the questions on the survey sheets, or did you have a formal proactive BRE program that you have moved away from? And if so, why?
We got away. We did have a formal business retention program. Our organization is about 10 years old. We did have a formal program of outreach. That kind of then dissolved, and we just kind of became a default group for retention efforts. But then during that kind of default era, our local IDAs picked up a formal retention program, and that's why then we removed ourselves completely from that operation, because they were the ones that were running it, manning it. So we were able to rely on them so that we could focus on the mission of attracting investment from outside the region. So that's from the Buffalo side. Sorry about that, Danielle, if you want to answer on Maricopa.
Please. No, I think it's great getting it from both of us. I would say, we have done so out of necessity due to resources and also for impact. So what we're doing, we continue to utilize and keep a license for the asynchronous system. I'm sure you guys have mostly all heard of that and are familiar. And it's a great tool, and I love the survey tool, and the reporting options are fantastic. We actually had compiled a statewide report in Arizona combining cumulative data. However, we are in the process of interviewing for recruitment, so I'm for the first time ever getting staff in our department. So I've been a one gal shop for a long time, and Partner organizations are obviously often hit or miss in terms of training. So I was partnering with the chamber, but they'd have turnover, and it was really difficult to train them and get them on board with the program and working with it. And so we were having issues with participation and trying to get out there and interview, 25 companies one-on-one, and on top of that also doing the administrative work, really A to Z, calling, setting up the meetings, and doing formal interviews. I kept thinking there's got to be a better way to get in the door, get their attention, and work with them, and also to gather a lot of good business intelligence. Obviously, our large industries, our top employers, I speak to probably every couple of months each. Don't let any more time go by than that. But this just seemed to make a lot more sense for us. And the great thing is the publicity in the local community. Case in point, the vice president of our chamber the other day on the business video program said, well, this is the best thing the city's ever done for small businesses. I don't necessarily agree. I think the big chunk of money that we spend on free business training programs and a lot of other things that we've done are just as important, if not more important, but there's always the perception that you need to get past, and sometimes sheer publicity and recognition that the city and the community is doing something is critical.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Untitled. That concludes our webinar for today. So thank you for joining us.